Letter to his wife, 4th of February, 1942. My dearest, I have been hunkered down in Yuknov for 4 grueling days now, a frozen outpost amid the endless white desolation. To reach this forsaken speck, I traversed a precarious causeway, little more than a ribbon of packed snow and splintered logs snaking through the void, passing perilously close to Russian positions, mere 400 meters distant, their shadows lurking like wolves in the swirling drifts. Miraculously, he held his fire, or perhaps the throaty roar of our engines drowned any shots in a mechanical symphony of defiance. My second car, which I had impulsively bartered for another by sheer stroke of fortune earlier that bitter morning, suffered a treacherous flat tire midway, grinding to a halt in the open like a wounded beast. It drew a savage hail from mortars and machine guns, their tracers stitching the air like venomous threads, shells erupting in geysers of snow and shrapnel. But thank God, in His infinite mercy, no harm befell us, no blood spilled on that iron-hard ground, no lives snuffed in the indifferent cold. In Yuknov itself, we found ourselves ensnared, utterly surrounded by the enemy's iron ring for 3 interminable days, the noose tightening with every howl of the wind. The very road we had clawed our way in on had sealed shut by evening, a choked artery of drifts and debris, impassable as a grave. During that first night, a relentless drifting snow descended like a shroud, muffling the world in ghostly silence. Everything held its breath, the only stir the faint creak of timbers settling under frost grip. The subsequent 2 nights plunged us into hell's own forge, 25 degrees below freezing, a full moon casting an ethereal, mocking glow over the barren wastes, turning sentries' faces to pale masks of exhaustion. Between 6:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., Russian airplanes prowled relentlessly, materializing on and off every 15 minutes, their engines humming a low, ominous dirge through the crystalline air. We knew, with sinking hearts, there's another one again, the harbinger of doom. Shortly after, the hissing prelude of plummeting bombs sliced the sky like serpent strikes, culminating in thunderous bangs that shook the earth to its marrow. 82 souls were claimed in Yuknov that first night alone, not counting the maimed and broken, their cries lost in the gale. Some 200 meters from our fragile sanctuary, a sturdy house was obliterated in a cataclysm of flame and ruin, timbers vaporized into splintered confetti. We lay rigid in our creaking wooden house, beds hard as pennants, whispering fervent prayers to God for deliverance. In His boundless goodness, He spared us. No bomb fell nearer than 150 to 200 meters, though each near miss rattled our bones like judgment's knell. Diary entry, 5th of February, 1942. Army Group Center demands we bind our depleted troops to the front line like chained hounds, even as the cunning enemy withdraws his main forces and redirects them to savage our exposed flanks, probing for the fatal breach. They quail at even whispering a withdrawal of mere meters to the Führer, that unyielding colossus. All know deep in their marrow it is imperative, yet opinions toward the highest authority emerge only as desperate last resorts, stifled whispers in shadowed corridors. Thus, I feel akin to a swimmer hurled into icy depths with limbs lashed, capable of fierce defense, yet robbed of means, or granted them agonizingly late, when catastrophe looms on the precipice. The resultant quagmire could scarce be more dire for commanders and ranks alike. Fresh assaults amid blinding snow squalls, avoidable had wisdom prevailed. Grievous new casualties carved deeper into our ridiculously attenuated lines, where divisions muster but 4,000 to 6,000 infantrymen, scarcely a battalion's ghost. For our toll exceeding 1,000 souls, we received not even 500 replacements, a pittance, the vaunted Christmas pledge now mocking us in February's fangs. Frostbitten limbs, blackened and brittle as charred wood, bar entry to hospitals lest our numbers dwindle further. Phantoms haunting the wire. Hopelessness festers like gangrene, insidious and unchecked. How long until the Russian winter devolves into spring's morass? That thaw dawns in April, 8 weeks hence, mirroring the rearguard odysseys spanned thus far. All hopes teeter on the new Supreme High Commander's shoulders. He may yet salvage order, but this very architect birthed our woes, clinging stubbornly to his ossified views like a drowning man to driftwood. Letter to his wife, 6th of February, 1942. My beloved, again some days of vertiginous ups and downs have battered us like tempests at sea. Our plight has edged toward amelioration, a fragile respite, yet remains perilously critical, balanced on a razor's edge over the abyss. To dwell in ceaseless fear, that gnawing specter, corrodes the spirit, demoralizes the stoutest hearts, and erodes resolve like acid on steel. It wears us threadbare, fraying nerves to gossamer. Everyone aches for this winter's end, that merciless tyrant, yet it lingers at least until April's hesitant bloom, a calendar's cruel jest. Still the cold grips with vice-like ferocity. In early February, blizzards howled for 3 unrelenting days, burying roads under a meter-deep mantle of pristine, yet lethal snow, drifts sculpting treacherous labyrinths. Now clear skies mock us with crystalline azure, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius below freezing, an icy wind scouring faces raw as open wounds, no thaw in sight to soften the vice. I cannot wrench my thoughts from martial exigencies. Nothing else permeates this fog of command. My mind rebels at diversion, unrest a constant companion, churning like storm-tossed waves. We subsist in uncertainty's maw. How shall day and night unfold? Each hour a roulette of fate? One endures this crucible solely through unshakable faith in God, that anchor amid the gale. Letter to his wife, 9th of February, 1942. Dearest heart, I lacked even a sliver of time to pen a missive these past days, ensnared in the front's voracious maw with my old corps, where the line bleeds into eternity. Due to the merciless weather, winds that flay skin from bone, we were vouchsafed from air raids venomous swarms, though the scars of prior aerial onslaughts mar this sector. Craters yawning like graves, homesteads reduced to skeletal husks, the acrid reek of cordite lingering like a curse. Our overarching straits have not mended as fervently as we dared hope, a bandage over a festering wound. Every dawn ushers fresh crises and upheavals, tempests of command. Yesterday and this morning wrought fresh tempests, scenarios teetering on cataclysm, unraveled with Herculean toil, threads of fate rewoven by sweat-soaked hands. We dare not anticipate reprieve. The near future portends tribulations of the direst hue, shadows lengthening. Thus, we inhabit perpetual nerve-fraying tension, a bowstring drawn to snapping, ever outnumbered, shadows against a horde, perpetually reactive to the enemy's caprice, his arsenal seemingly inexhaustible, a bottomless forge of steel and spite, while we grapple shortages and snares at every turn. He hurls masses of men like chaff into the grinder, faceless waves crashing ceaseless. Our ranks melt away in the crucible, phantoms dwindling. Unimaginable hurdles loom, jagged as Carpathian peaks, supplies tardy or phantom, pledges evaporating like mist. Thus, each day chains sorrows I dread to tally. I scarce dare grasp the telephone's insistent ring, for tidings ring rarely sweet, more oft a dirge. Yet it stands as triumph that we have clung thus long, defiant against the tide. I yearn for surcease, a breath unshackled. Letter to his wife, 12th of February, 1942. Yesterday, I crossed paths with Field Marshal von Kluge amid the front's grim tableau. Astonishingly, he brimmed with buoyant mood, a rare ember in the frost, though his burdens mount like ours, albeit distanced from the fray's immediate fong. Diary entries, stark chroniclers, etch only martial minutiae, cold facts of maneuver and loss, yet veil the nerve-shredding vice of our present straits, that invisible torment coiling tighter. Worst, given our precarious perch, no vista of alteration gleams on the horizon, a barren expanse unbroken. Letter to his wife, 16th of February, 1942. At this juncture, the Russians assail like feral beasts unchained. Every day a frenzy of claw and fang. They embody dog tenacity, tough as tempered leather, desperate as cornered wolves, fiercer than any prior incarnation, their eyes alight with winter's unyielding hate. Diary entry, 16th of February, 1942. I telephoned Field Marshal von Kluge, imploring revision of his edict to the 2nd Panzer Army, a decree fraught with peril. Indignation crackled in his voice, a thunderhead brewing. Supreme Army Command had mooted and urged linkage at Smolensk, a chimera proven utterly chimerical. On a 1:300,000 scale map, it gleams as elegant stratagem, yet ignores our visceral reality. Encircled phantoms commanding divisions with regiments dwindled to 100 to 200 wraiths, who repel ferocious onslaughts solely through exertion's outer limits. Exemplar. The 31st Division, spanning 17 kilometers of frayed wire, weathered 73 enemy tempests. The 131st, guarding 11 kilometers, endured 53 assaults exceeding company girth between January 21st and February 16th. Toll: 530 slain, 1,400 lacerated, 1,100 frost victims, limbs blackened as betrayal. Von Kluge proffered a minor concession as bomb, yet even that eludes our grasp. Forces frayed to gossamer. He recoiled viscerally at diverging from his olive branch, lest he disappoint superiors. A chasm yawned. He vented spleen upon General von Unruh's corps for straying from packed, unfounded barbs amid the gale. It borders miracle the army endures. Had the foe orchestrated aright, annihilation's shroud would cloak us. He presumed us supine, knees buckled, deployed distant phalanxes, ripe for rearward thrust, oblivious that a sparrow clutch trumps two in thicket. Soul, this caprice sustains us, beyond our tether. A higher edict metals, disposing sans query. Absented, encirclement seals, impotent our pleas. Miracle too that Rollbahn transports pulse, defying foe's barrage, roads raked by fire, vehicles dueling muzzles face to face, many sundered to wreckage, yet multitudes pierce the veil. Holistically, an untenable vice for legions, unendurable. At last, replacements trickle. How we beseeched, agonized their advent, meager rivulets, yet balm to parched earth, divisions eroded to husks. Letter to his wife, 19th of February, 1942. Beneath cataclysmic losses on both flanks, ranks sighed like wheat in harvest. We have wrenched free from the yawning encirclement's jaws. For the nonce, we pulverized the foe at 4 choke points where he sought to sever us, blades parrying the noose. Interrogating captives unveiled divisions entrenched in our rear, numerals etched like doom. We felt the rider upon Lake Constance's treacherous ice, peril vaster than divined, a leviathan submerged. Now we fathom why the Russian deemed our army prostrate, knees in snow. By our ledger and straits, terminus loomed inexorable. God's aegis and troops' valor, steel hearts in frozen casings, averted the void. A Wehrmacht dispatch tallied a clash 80 kilometers southeast of Viazma. After 7 days forest inferno, 3.5 encircled Russian divisions annihilated. For 5, they clung in drifts sans sustenance or shelter, barricaded in snow fortresses brittle as illusions, eroded by our barrages till depleted. 3,500 claimed. The glade a charnel tableau of contorted forms, viscera steaming in frost. I shun the sight, revulsions tied to rank. Analogous in lesser cauldrons, snipped air jaws clamped. The grand maw yet yawns, insatiable. Diary entry, 28th of February, 1942. Flight from Smolensk to Rassenburg. 10 a.m. departure. 1 p.m. alighting. Post-luncheon parley with the Führer dissected legion's fates, mine paramount. Rollbahn's vice, southern and northern foes crush, airborne brigade spectre. Supply veins imperiled hourly. Plea. Relinquish Yuknov, forge reserves. Extract phalanxes, lest Rollbahn perish rearward, propped by ragtag specters. It anchors the host's sinew. He interjects, thus we forfeit Yuknov-Kiotsk artery, mud season's sole lifeline. Delusion. This vein swamps in deluge impotent. He grapples concession, defers like a miser. Only meetings close, Kluge echoing the dirge, Yuknov-Gietsk, impassable mire, sways assent. Field Marshal avers irrelevance. 10 kilometers east or west of Yuknov, front stabilized. Quibbles o'er trifles unmanly. He owns his repute for intransigence. Resolute holds staunched panic. Salvage cause. Verily, yet erroneous here, birthing ceaseless peril, hemorrhaging lives. Führer probes minutiae avidly, retorts technical esoterica. Deems anti-tank supremacy eclipses armor. Tanks obsolete by 42's eve. Parallels England's plight to Germany's 1918 nadir. Optimism radiates, a lodestar amid gloom. Letter to his wife, 28th of February, 1942. For the first since Whitson's bomb, back in Germany's embrace, in commodious chambers, order's gentle sway, inconceivable luxuries. Water closets, porcelain gleam, bathtubs, steaming haven, tabletop posies nodding like old comrades. Unbelievable, this sliver of civility amid barbarism. Now I await our booked call, heart's bridge across the void. Optimism suffuses here. Alas, our isolate plight teeters critical. Pressures, anvil unrelenting. Relief to flee the front's caprice for 24 hours, as I savor today. Dawn's summons return to Russia's maw. How I crave Germany's hearth eternal. Letter to his wife, 1st of March, 1942. Since yesternight, I vigil for Freiburg's line. Unyielding silence mocks. 20 minutes till departure. Discourse likely forfeit. Fury boils. Foreign Office drones monopolize. Piping home tales of Rassenberg's terrible Russian winter. Wigazoa's gales their alibi. Urgent official slot squandered. Line perpetually engaged. Consensus here. We've clawed from winter's jaws, claimed defensive laurels, enfeebling the foe. England? Echoes our 1918 autumnal throes. Japanese tempests are undoing. Will divine. Unaltered for me. General Halder confides none bears Kluge's yoke like I. Verily, Russian throttles. Vice inexorable. Advance spells demise. Letter to his wife, 3rd of March, 1942. Returned antepenultimate. Storch-born to front's inferno forthwith. Bottleneck to core, air lifeline. Narrows to 4-kilometer throat. Foe entrenched 500 to 1,000 meters flankward. Raking conveyances with every abomination in his arsenal. A gauntlet of fire and steel. Days yon air reinforcements buttress, though paramount edicts brim optimism panoramic. Our locale festers unpleasant, latterly excruciatingly critical. Recurrent knife-edge teeters rack nerves, despoil morale. Once, twice surmountable, yet perpetual, sans respite. A Sisyphean scourge burdensome beyond utterance. We rejoice each dawn, each dusk unscathed, yet tensions bow creaks, foretelling morrow's lash. Prayer alone summons succor. 3 weeks winter apes roses, fairy frost. Diurnal blaze sans zephyr, nocturnal 25 below. Thaws whisper craved, curbing Slavs dash, omened mid-March to mid-April. Perils, manifold interim. Letter to his wife, 5th of March, 1942. Dawn heralds Russian onslaught entire front, not isolate, but panoptic main lines gale. Captives divulge. This the coup de grace long craved, decisive Armageddon. Vast swaths of my sector repulsed, disengagements grace, withdrawal sanction gleaned, East Prussian sojourn. Simpler than augured. Post-stasis, 10 kilometers, drift immaterial. Thus, phalanxes freed buttress frail bastions. Rollbahn's exigency proved prophetic today. Crises manifold, quelled transiently. Yet battle's infancy spans fortnights, tumult and woe's harvest. Providence, Russian flags, mood-soured post-tri-month offensive. Maiden defectors, post-epics, harbinger? Your dispatches. Berlin's populace serene, assured. Admonish my frets. Ah, variance vast, million-scale cartography's abstraction versus visceral peril. Troops gaunt frames, braving 20 below. Diurnal debacles, rectified Herculean. 8½ months fray unbroken, try encircled, gaze map. Foe's noose universal. As I scribe, Russian birds drone, disgorging paratroops rearward. 6 weeks impunity, forces barren to bar. Legions luckier, parochial perils glimpsed, lulls ensuing, unwitting broader doom. I bear dual scourge, ranks toil, panorama's pathos, that's command's crown of thorns. Diary entry, 8th of March, 1942. Kluge alighted. Discourse straits and vistas, ebullient, lauding army sagacity. Deems tide turned, nadir passed, unpleasant yet ameliorated. Diary entry, 9th of March, 1942. Army's posture anomalous. Ribbon-thin 130-kilometer arc refracted twice. Sole vein Rollbahn imperiled. 20-kilometer span menaced by airborne wolves, ski-borne raiders. Partisan swarms encircling from rear's void. Omnipresent clash. Nocturnal foes reinforce, unstemmed. Scant sinew to staunch. Conveyances rest hamlets, twixt adversary and artery. Nuisance metastasized to nascent host. Airborne cadres, partisan chieftains, ex-captives, commissar spawn from populace. armaments, cannons, shells, litter Viazma's corpse field. Ponder. Foe forswears spring offensive? Nay, winter's rout foiled, yet wounds grievous. He presses, envisioning summer's coup de grace. Letter to his wife, 9th of March, 1942. Foe's tempests and frostbite persist, monotonous vista, cyclical rites, not mere skirmish, but life's ledger in balance. Augmented faintly, yet phrase rigor, duty's yoke, sorrow's shroud unaltered. I crave easement, assault cessation. We misjudged Slav's sinew, acumen, relentlessness, prowess unforeseen, logistical leviathan unveiled. Diary entry, 12th of March, 1942. Storch jaunt along Rollbahn northward. 31st Division, thence 13th Army Corps, 52nd, 137th Universal Dirge. Attenuated might, green recruits unblooded, NCOs inept, equine skeletons starved. Concede, though unexpelled, Russian eviscerated us, good Lord. Legions atrophy. Officers dearth, armaments paucity amplify, defeats manifold. Integrating novices Sisyphean, sans veteran shepherds. Training? Chimerical. Sentinels freeze nocturnal gales over vastitudes, diurnal entrenchments toil. Initiative withers untended. Diary entry, 13th of March, 1942. Midday prisoner pens inspected, horror partial, decreed redress. We sabotage self thus. Letter to his wife, 21st of March, 1942. Adversary strains utmost to gird, obliterate pre-vernal dawn. Before me, ledger brims maneuvers forestalling. Unknowable his caprice, yet all crave surcease. Respite's bomb. Morrow marks 9th month's ceaseless fray. Diary entry, 22nd of March, 1942. Dire Russian on rushes gainst Ugra's oxbow, day span. Repulsed post-sanguinary toil. Our 600 felled. Foes tallied dwarf perchance. Tank breached ice, drowned providential. Bolstering fluvial ward. Slavs tenacity, awe-striking, unyielding. Higher banks vantage over mastered heavies. Thrice he forded glacier, mass declivity, erupted sudden. Analogous southward Shikalka, tanks thrust. 7 maimed via infantry's Panzervernich tungstrup, valor incandescent. Fray unresolved. Letter to his wife, 25th of March, 1942. Paramount dread. Rearward foe metastasized army, fronts dual, sinews insufficient secure. We navigate azure isle amid crimson sea, tempests wilder diurnal, swollen ranks. Expectant. Slav forges phalanxes myriad from horde, winter's forge tempers us primary. Disparity own adversary forces, materials malaise appalls. One divines misperception Rassenberg ward. Gravid repercussions as hibernal. Winter wanes locale. October 0 nadir unbroken bar, March's anomaly. Frigorific zeniths, unchronicled. Milder now, thaw nascent, 0 proximate diurnal. Ice fractured yesterday. Snow's flurry, today, portends finale. War-weary, snow-sated. Ranks crave easement, unattainable. Proper epistle eludes. Peace absent, humor fled. Letter to his wife, 30th of March, 1942. Heaviest Slav assault ever assails. For days masses hurled. Reinforcements ceaseless. Infantry deluges, artillery tempests, tanks thunder, birds venomous. Nocturnal, ranks devotion tighten yet torments forge. Vernal's tardy. 8 weeks azure unmarred, windless, diurnal thaw nocturnal bind. Mud's manna hoped, yet assaults unrelent, foiled intense, enemies thwart. CGC's bequest this morass, inescapable riposte. Duration occult. Terminus spectre, universal dread. Letter to his wife, 7th of April, 1942. Russian vice unrelents perils pinnacles, initial repulses, yet masses influx births peril acute. Yesterday's tidings. Fresh legions march. Resources barren counter. Sans Rassenberg's vaunted tranquility. Novel peril looms Leviathan. Slav spurns retreat, fixates breach precise. Annihilation's aim, not frontal soul. Rearward phalanx walls. Second Army snare. Gloom mantles futurity. Woe foreseen, unknowable. Vernal, aqueous bomb hoped. Denied, nocturnal 0. Diurnal melt softens, sans flood, drift. Morass aid. Birds persist, disgorging commissars airborne, cadres rearward, impunity absolute. Letter to his wife, 13th of April, 1942. Climax unfolds. Foe's clasp on gains today severs host bulk. Rollbahn sealed unbreachable. 30 tanks triumph. MINS barren retort. Tension zenith births Siberian phalanxes clash. Gainst are spent. 4 weak frayed. Crisis Gisella's right. Yesterday's salve. Today's relapse. Blizzard. Fog Luftwaffe's yoke. 3 corps entrapped. Ignis fatuous terminus. Mud's bane mutual hoped. Arrives post-victory. Exacerbating. Vehicles mire. Stasis bar. Rollbahn's closure. 3.5 months siege. Penultimate pre-meteor's shift. Fate's jest. Letter to his wife, 16th of April, 1942. Direst distress latter days. Foe crests pivotal eminence. Rollbahn ward. 14th's miracle reclamation. Luftwaffe's peril. Stuka's 50 meters kiss. Self-shrapnel's gamble. Recoup claims Berthold. Peerless 43rd Corps helm post me. Villages toll excellent soul. Decorous, astute, intrepid. Regret profound. Assaults persist. Yesterday afternoon to dusk nocturnal. Slav wade swamp, unheeding. Divisions cascade. Thousands sacrificed objectives alter. Flanks dent. Mud cold spurned. Tanks plowed drift swamp seamless. Demoralizations lash. Strain Herculean commanders. Dwindling ranks. Letter to his wife, 20th of April, 1942. Critical cusp occurs. Slav hammers dual vulnera diurnal nocturnal. Fortnight span. Thousands fall prompts, phalanx refresh. Assaults renewed. Nerves grind ceaseless. 11th hour's breach. Reserves barren hemorrhages quench. Vernal hope. Diurnal thaw nascent. Unimproved. Snow mud stasis. Vehicles entombed. Quarters village inextricable sands Drazine. 20-kilometer trek to causeway. Foe 1,000 meters fire. Letter to his wife, 21st of April, 1942. Vernal dawns authentic. Tridiurnal melt sands pluvial. Midday's blaze shelters 25 Celsius. Nocturnal sub-zero. March 25's drizzle soul aqueous bar snow. Eccentric realm. Mud's quagmire binds. Nocturnal machine gun 1,000 meters alarm. Partisans cable sever. Smolensk's bivouac. 2-hour raids inferno. Shells near kiss auto. Perils trivial. Futurity appalls. Diurnal clearer. Foe preps grand flank thrust Kluge's gird. Southeastward offensive march since unstemmed. May 1 Estes Leviathan probable. Superiors hearken post alarms. Inconvenience theirs. Russia. Adversaries dictate momentary. Letter to his wife, 25th of April, 1942. Septet heavy phrase wake. Eastern fronts hush relative. Isolate our maelstrom. Mud, aqueous, stasis notwithstanding, devilry compels assault. Divisions, tanks, artillery cascade. 10:30 p.m. scribe. Triad quartet detonations per line. Rollbahn's centimeter jeopardy. 100 meters lap seals. Beyond immediacies, grand defensive gestates. Preparations patent, sinew barren halt. Kluge gird direct, veridical snare. Superiors awaken. General Blumentritt, ex-host helm. Lucid sage, beheld verity. Bead string phalanxes dual-fronted, immobile. Reserves phantoms, proactive chimerical, perils foci soul. No trespassing, placards jested Russian ward. Soldiers dearth. Pulverization inexorable. Commanders augurs zero triseptiminal. Paramount clings fortunes thread post-quartet serendipity. Yet barrages unceasing, domicile quakes, pains jangle. Rollbahn's 102-kilometer swamp, causeways mire, traffic sepulcher, lorries, equines, wheel deep. Adversities, cabal, absolute. Letter to his wife, 28th of April, 1942. Direst diurnal. Paramount thrust aborted, meticulous prelude, utter debacle. Casualties grievous, triumph nil, ranks despoiled. Bidiurnal bombers, nocturnal, no toll. Today snows profundity. War report to his family, 8th of May, 1942. Myrmidons captive, Russian denizens. Construct legions buttress Rollbahn, planks patchwork, aqueous epics mend. Perchance grand offensive shadow. Slavs assaults quiesced latter days. Made an interregnum December 11 since. Sextet months, waves unrelent, shore lashing. Bodies macabre carpet. Casualties void. Replacements torrent, front flung nascent, gunned. Divisions supplant ceaseless. Hibernal allies volti. Opposition incarnate, knee-belly drifts advance, gainst machine guns reaper. We endured compelled. Dual bulwarks. Artillery's thunder, aerial hegemony. Infantry's husk endured aegis. Sans perdition. Incredulous ordeal all. Few June 22 NV's veterans linger. Higher echelons toll analogous. Initiates unbroken. Sans furlough. Repose. Great wars pale shade. Crises quotidian miracles. Attainments enigma posterity's muse. Not astounds. Letter to his wife. 12th of May, 1942. Wretched drained. I furlough June's dawn circa 10th. Now's nectar crave. Tethers terminus. Disgruntled. Thwarted, splintered, spirit shattered. Reality's mismatch paramount's phantasm. Unexercised. Tobacco's excess corrodes corporeal. Abomination universal.